Good morning. I'm Emily Katz, Director of Knowledge and Communications for Northern California Grantmakers, and welcome to Foundation Center West's Strengthening Online Engagement, Tweaking Your Social Media Strategy live stream. Today we're speaking with Luis Chabolla, Communications Director at Community Foundation of Santa Cruz County. Welcome, Luis.
Thank you, Emily, and thanks the Foundation Center West for hosting this today. It's great.
I wanted to ask you to introduce yourself. But before I do, I couldn't help noticing neither of us are millennials. And here we are talking social media. And baby boomers are the smallest number using Twitter. So I wanted to ask you to just tell us a little of how you got into this space and what it's been like for you.
Well, I really, and I think a good example that you can teach old dogs new tricks. And I really put the blame of why I and our organizations and social media on Beth Cantor, because we did training with her and her sort of method of crawl, walk, fly. And doing that and seeing the value of connecting with the people we serve and connecting with other people in philanthropy, it was the natural thing to do. And I think anyone can do it.
Was there an epiphany? Was there a first moment when you started connecting, when you felt like, oh, this is actual engagement? We're connecting in a way that adds value?
Well, I think when we started getting responses to some of the things we did and stop thinking about it as a one-way communication or promotion or a phrase I hate, getting the word out, and really thinking about it. There's a great post by Rebecca Tweet on nonprofit marketing that Nancy Schwartz does, which is that communications today is really like tennis, not golf, and so you really need a partner to play tennis. And that's really what communication is for us.
Wonderful. So here we are in the summer lull. Do you have some tips to tide us through?
Yes, I do, and I don't know if I think these are things you can do all year round, but if anyone is feeling that they have some spare time during the summer, I have three things I wanted to share. One about Facebook, one about Twitter, and one about LinkedIn that anyone can do if have already kind of moved into those areas. And so on Facebook, we use Facebook at the Community Foundation to engage with our nonprofits because that's where they are. And so I always want to know, how are we doing stacked up with other community foundations, others in our industry? So one of the best ways that I have found is using Pages to Watch, which is in Facebook Insights. So if you're on your desktop, and if you go up to the top of the desktop, and you'll see Insights, if you haven't gone there, and you open up Insights, it gives you all the metrics of your Facebook page for your company, your nonprofit. And if you scroll down, you'll see Pages to Watch. And in Pages to Watch, you can load up other nonprofits, or in our case, community foundations who are on Facebook. So I've got 11 community foundations that are of similar size, serve similar populations, and I'm able to go in every day or a couple times a week and look to see how they're performing in comparison to what we're doing. So it gives me a chance to feel good, feel bad, to look and open their content to go, what are they doing that's different? Gives me an opportunity to respond, to engage in conversations with them, and gives us tips at our team to go, how can we improve what we're doing to match what they're doing?
Oh, lovely. All right.
So that really works. And I think any nonprofit, whether you're arts, environment, you can go in and you can, your geographic area, the field you serve, and put in a number of other organizations, and then you can start to see, so you can kind of comparing apples to apples, and how are you stacking up, so you're just not looking at likes or retweet or reposts or mentions. You're also looking at how you're stacking up with others in your industry.
Do you want to talk a little about Twitter as well?
I love Twitter, and anyone who's following the Community Foundation, or if you want to go to my Twitter account, CF Luis. I tweeted because I took the train up from Caltrans today, so I posted a little video because I was surprised at how packed the train was, which I guess is now the norm. But I think Twitter is a really great way for our community foundation to engage in a larger world with others in philanthropy. And not only our local nonprofits, but those around the country, which we wouldn't normally be able to be on the phone talking to or meeting. And for us, having that kind of voice really starts with our CEO. And so it's important for him, in our case it's a he, Lance, to be on Twitter. So getting Lance on Twitter at first was a little difficult. Why should I do it? He said. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to organize it. I don't know how to sort through all of that. So the way that we started was to show him other CEOs who were already on Twitter, and folks like Emmett Carson, the CEO of Community Foundation Silicon Valley, Jim Canales, who used to be with Irvine and is now at the Barr Foundation in Boston. They're all very engaged people, and so looking at them and going, this is how they do it. John Hayden has 4 reasons why CEOs should tweet that I want to share really quick. If I can, I'm looking at my little cards. One is that it improves connection. You have a two-way access with your community. Trust, it shows your leader as a real human being. That's really important. Awareness, it puts them in the center of different kinds of conversations that they might not already be in. And responsiveness, it gives them an opportunity to reply and engage with people who may have questions.
Yeah.
So looking at that, looking at examples of others, motivated our CEO to start tweeting, and then as he started to kind of build some traction, he saw the value of that. And one example was that he posted a tweet that mentioned a national reporter who was covering the topic. By doing that, the reporter contacted him, and they started a conversation that would not have happened otherwise. So that's a really great example, and sort of gave him motivation to continue. So now he tweets 2, 3, 4 times a week. How he organizes his tweets, one of the tricks and tools that anyone can use is using lists. So if you go onto your desktop and up above, you'll see a little sign that says lists, or on your mobile device, there's a little rotor. If you click that little rotor where the settings are, it'll say view lists. And in that view lists, you can create lists under any kind of topic, like we have tech leaders or innovation or environment. And you can add others who are on Twitter or other organizations or people and put them into your lists. So when you go into your home feed, which can be overwhelming, it's like a Facebook feed, there's so much stuff. It's hard to sort through it. You can go right to your list and you can see all the people that, let's say, are in philanthropy. And, oh, look, there's Northern California Grant Makers, there's the Foundation Center, or other CEOs in his case. And you can see all the groups that he's put in there. And it's an easier way to get to the content and get to the people that you wanna be with.
Well, fun. I'll be interested to hear from our live stream audience the kinds of barriers that they've faced getting their kind of team engaged around Twitter. So welcome those questions and happy to address them a little later. One barrier I've heard that we've been thinking about at Northern California Grantmakers is how to shift your own orientation when you're in an event. If you're managing the event and you're trying to keep track of the speakers and the timing and what's going on, and then stepping back and putting on this external communication mindset of being able to tweet it. Do you have any tips about how to both tweet and stay present in an event?
Well, you had a really good example before we started, is in that you're working with other staff members so that folks who are attending events, maybe it's going to be difficult for the one person who's managing to also tweet. So you have other people who are there who are sort of empowered to do it. But I think otherwise it's just something that you have to practice. I can do something, and maybe before the event starts, take a photo or take a quick little video to set the stage. Promote it ahead of time, talk about it afterwards, grab a photo. I think a lot of it just comes, with practice, mistake, doing it, trying again.
Sure. And I'm happy to share that. Actually, I can turn, we were sharing before the program that I did a training, our intern and I, our intern who's a high school graduate heading off to college, prepared a Twitter training. And I thought that was a fun way to use the intergenerational smarts in our
Right.
organization. And we called it Twitter, Overcoming the Twitter Jitters. And it's
Right.
for people to be able to get onto Twitter who haven't done it. So I'm happy to share that as a slide share for folks. Tweet us at NCG and can send that out. All right, so LinkedIn we haven't touched on, and there's another great tool. So many of us have profiles for our organizations, and you're a proponent of using LinkedIn to recruit board members and to engage volunteers. Have you gone about that, and do you have any good stories, tips and stories?
I have a good story, and before I jump into LinkedIn, I wanted to say too about what we've talked about so far. I really, for us, really see this as being part of our overall communication strategy. That's the place we start, and whether that strategy is written on a napkin or in your head or somehow that it's articulated, because otherwise these things we're talking about are just tactics or
Yes.
actions and are fun things to do and don't really have any lasting value. So it's really about starting with a communication strategy. So for LinkedIn, we run a board matching service at our community foundation where we connect nonprofits with prospective board members. And LinkedIn, in the last couple of years, through their LinkedIn for Good, they've changed some of their profiling where you can identify volunteer interests. So last year I wanted to see, could we recruit people into our board matching program from a region of about 25 miles from where we are that I might not otherwise know. And so by using LinkedIn, I was able to send messages to about 25 people. We got about half a dozen folks who came to our board match program because of it, who we were then able to match with local nonprofits. So
Wow, way
LinkedIn,
cool.
LinkedIn, you can
Yeah.
do that for your nonprofit if you're recruiting volunteers or if you are interested in recruiting prospective board members. Can be part of a strategy. I would not use LinkedIn solely and never talk to the person, but you can start to see who's out there, so you're not just always looking at who do you know or the same people. And so if you wanted to try this, you can go on your desktop, go to Advanced, which is right next. There's a little magnifying glass on the search bar, and when that screen opens, if you scroll down, there's a place to click nonprofit interests in the middle of the page. You can either click board members or skilled volunteers, and then you could just do a search, and you'll start to get a list. On the left side of the LinkedIn, there's a a column where you can start to sort it more finitely and put in by skills, industry, distance from you. So, if realistically, someone is not going to drive 50 miles to your board meeting, they might drive 25. You can put that criteria in there. If you're looking for people with tech background or finance background, you can do that, and you'll come up with a list of everyone in LinkedIn who fits that criteria, who has identified volunteer service on their profile, and you can then reach out to them, send them messages, see if somebody knows them. So it's a great tool. There are some really great resources that I've found, even in preparing for this, that I wasn't aware of on LinkedIn. If you go to nonprofit.linkedin.com, there's videos and other tools that you can use, and it may not be perfect, but I think it can be part of a really good strategy
For professional extension.
for extending your reach for recruiting volunteers and board members.
Have you had any success with engagement on LinkedIn, with getting conversations going?
Yes, the way that I personally have found in doing this is using their pulse, which is a feature on LinkedIn that allows you to post conversations or articles. And what we have done, and I've done, is we have a blog page on our website. I've reposted the blogs on LinkedIn in the Pulse,
Mm-hmm.
which get a far larger reach than they do through our website, which, depending on how, if you're doing this well and you're asking questions in your post or doing something, which I'm still working on,
Mm-hmm.
but knowing that that's the way to go, you can start to create getting more engagement of people responding or commenting. And if you're watching that, then you can start conversations from that.
Mm-hmm. Can we step back a little bit to your original topic you raised about strategic communication and how these are an expression of engagement toward a goal, and some goals that you've set for your organization around how communication can extend the mission of the organization, and then how different social media tools can play into that strategy.
Well, we have three objectives in our communication strategy
Mm-hmm.
for these current years, and after having looked at a lot of plans and a lot of strategies and being a little befuddled on how to really approach it, and you can get really into a lot of detail, and ours, some may think of, are kind of soft, but they work for us. And one is to promote the human face of local giving.
Mm-hmm.
That's really important to us. So who are our donors? Who are the nonprofits that we work with? To really moving towards trying to get real stories of local people. So are we doing that every week? Are we thinking about that in our Facebook posts, when we do videos, when we do storytelling? The other, which is really important for us, is making innovation real.
Mm.
So innovation, is that a buzzword or does that mean something? For us, it means something. And what that means for us is kind of dealing beyond the limits of traditional philanthropy. So, for example, this last year we worked with local business groups, other colleges and universities, and led the way in creating a online website for businesses and students seeking internships to find each other online. Where in the past, you'd go to your local community college and you'd go to a kiosk like I used to do, and you'd see post-its and list notices and listings, and you go, oh, that sounds good. So now we have an online website, MontereyBayInterns.org, that we worked with a team of local business folks and universities to help create. And so for us, that's innovative, and that's what we mean about making innovation real. So there are other examples, and how can we talk about it? How can we highlight what other folks are doing to really talk about innovation in a real and meaningful kind of way? The third one we do is mobile mindset. So being here today, doing this webinar, sharing tips about social media, doing workshops for nonprofits on ways to use communication tools and tips. This is all about the mobile mindset. So on our Facebook, on our Twitter account, are we spending time highlighting things that organizations and individuals can do? So those are our communication objectives that we work on for the whole foundation.
Can you take the one more step and tie those three objectives back to an overarching goal for the foundation itself, or either for this year or for your mission?
Well, we have a mission statement, which I'm not going to bore you to give, but we also have a business focus, which is to help people in Santa Cruz County invest in our community.
Nice. Okay.
So that's what we want to do, and so our communication strategy helps that happen. We look at what our development team is doing, what our program team is doing, using the communication strategy and how it fits into making all of those things be more supportive and reach out to the community. So our program team, when they have a grants initiative coming up, how can we use storytelling to make local giving human and real? How can we make it innovative? How can we connect the mobile mindset to push that out for people to be able to really use it and give them something they want.
Sure. Yeah, and to connect that to giving in the county. Okay. Mobile mindset. Can we talk a little bit more about that? Because there are so many ways to go wrong with this. So many moments, heated moments, or confusing moments in which one can find oneself heading off in the wrong direction or saying something, you know, that was that didn't have the benefit of lots of thought and consideration. So, can you talk about any moments you've encountered where you didn't take an action because you didn't know what to do, or you took an action and then later had to address it, revisit it in some way?
Yes. And I think before we started, you were talking about Black Lives Matter.
Mm-hmm.
We had a blog post in responding to what's been going on in the country, that we as a community foundation should be involved, and that we should um, see the role that philanthropy can play, which we thought when this first came out was one of kind of thinking, what can we do, being responsive, being attentive. We wanted an image that would connect it to that, so we were looking for images, and we put one up that had All Lives Matter, which got a lot of negative pushback, which fit what we were saying, but I didn't really think about it enough to realize the implication, and it ended up distracting from our message. So we had to kind of go back and take that down and repackage it. The message I thought was good, but the image attached to it wasn't,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
or at least at the time that it came out. So we make mistakes. I think everybody, when you're trying something new, you make mistakes, but I think you have to just acknowledge that when you stumble, that's going to happen.
Sure.
It's been that way since the beginning, and that's something that Beth Cantor, John Kenyon, all the folks that we've worked with, life is full of mistakes. I've made so many in my life, and you just kind of have to learn from them and go forward, and hopefully you're not hurting yourself or your organization or others by doing it. But
Well, that was an invitation I really wanted to pursue, this opening that you gave about all the mistakes you've made in your life, but we're starting to wind down our time, so I'll save that for another day. But I wanted to thank you, and thank also to our live stream audience for participation. Ooh, we've got a question. Okay. What challenges have you faced getting team members and leadership on social media? So this also takes us back to this question of how we deal with this, the nervousness we have around mistakes, and how to. And one more thing I just wanted to circle back on before you jump into that is this question of shifting from being an authority who's on message all the time to being an organization made of human beings who is in conversation with its community via social media. And so if you can loop all that together here in our last few minutes.
well, I think in all of our in our Twitter accounts or in our blog posting, part of what we're really trying to show is that we're real people, and we're human beings. So when our CEO tweets, sometimes he's tweeting about things that are travels he's had or experiences with his family. I posted some things this morning about coming here, from the train, or things that I'm enjoying. You want to know about people. You want to know who's behind the desk. So I think those kind of things are really important. And that's a way that we kind of get to show that these are real people that are working at this organization. It's not some distant third person.
Mm-hmm.
I think as far as getting the team, whether it's in your nonprofit or your CEO, everybody has reasons not to kind of jump into the water.
Mm-hmm.
Nervousness, understandable. Fear, not knowing what to do, think you're going to make a mistake. I think that you need to take the baby steps that you should as you can, if you really believe, which I think is true, that communication and strategic communication is important for all organizations and will become increasingly more so in the future. And so it's part of our jobs. So how are we going to communicate and tell what we do? Because otherwise people don't know. And this is one avenue, social media, to do that. So having people take little steps, see what others do, model that kind of behavior, I think helps.
Appreciate that. Well, we're glad for this time together to strengthen the online engagement of all of us who are doing so much good. I wanted to note that the full recording of this video and others are available on the Foundation Center's YouTube channel. So you go to youtube.com/C/Foundation Center. It's also on the GrantSpace site, which is grantspace.org/tools/multimedia. And do you want to give a shout out to your Twitter handle one more time? This is a great model for anybody who wants to benchmark themselves, as you suggested, and see how other folks are doing it.
Sure, at CF Luis. And I'm happy to answer questions or share information. And I also want to thank all the people who tuned in for today's live stream today. If they have questions, and keep up the good work, because it's all of you out there that are really making things happen and being the change makers.
All right. And you can catch us at NorCal Grant. We've got time for one more question. So how do you take on engagement with your grantees if they're of different age groups?
That is a really excellent question, and I wish the person who had asked the question was here, because I would ask them, what are you thinking about and how do you do it? For us at the Community Foundation, most our target audience with our donor audience, which is where we help get the money in that pushes out to the nonprofits, are not necessarily younger people, because we're looking at other generations. Our nonprofits are a mixed group, so we're more helping them in their engagement, working with different audiences. It's not so much of a our strategy. So there are a number of nonprofits in our county, like a Digital Nest or Youth Now, that deal with younger people, and we look to them as being experts. How are they talking to their young people, and is there anything we can help them with? But also we're looking to see what they do so that we can learn how to talk with other younger people. And I think one of the things beyond the messaging and having peer-to-peer conversations is the tools are changing already. So does Twitter work for new millennials, or is it texting or something else? The tools we're talking about today, in 10 years, who knows? They may be like, remember when they had a webinar about Twitter? Who knows what it will be like in 10 years? So things are always changing.
They are, yeah. It'd be fun to see where we end up on all of this. All right. Well, on that note, we will wrap this up. Thank you so much, and I look forward to more opportunities to stay in touch with you.
Thank you, Emily.
Probably online.
And thank you, Foundation Center West, for today's program.
Yes.